It is 2 minutes after 4 o'clock. You are tuned to 96.3 FM, WLCN. I am Loyd Kirby, the marketing manager here at WLCN, and joining us today on the 4 p.m. 411 is Lincoln Community High School Band Director Nigel Range. So, Mr. Range, thank you for taking time and joining us.
Absolutely.
All right. So, kind of gave you a preview of what we're going to talk about. I know you've been here. How long have you been at LCHS?
Since January of 2017.
So... Five-ish years?
5.5 years.
Yeah. So, okay. Was there something, how did you get to Lincoln, basically?
Well, when I was student teaching, I was just looking for a job, of course, and the job here in Lincoln was opening up mid-year, and I was going to graduate mid-year, so it was kind of the perfect setup. I grew up down in Springfield as well, so I was kind of familiar with the area and the school, and I went for it and got it.
Okay, very good, and the rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those of you out there, if you'd like to join the conversation, 217-648-5510, the number to call. Or if you have a question or comment and want to email it, you can send us an email at 4pm411@wlcnonline.com. We'll be talking with Mr. Range here over the next half hour. Be sure to tune in tomorrow morning to Viewpoint with Bill Gossett, when he will be talking with Reverend Henry Johnson, And next week on the 4 p.m. 411, we'll be talking with Abby Behrens of the Butterfly Project, and she'll be talking about some of the services available to Lincoln and Logan County residents who are suffering under domestic abuse, victims or families. But as I said, today we're here with Nigel Range. So your title is band director, and maybe... Gosh, I don't know. Many years ago, that was a single band, and you go in and you practice, and you have a concert or two, maybe one in the fall, one in the spring, and that's it. But you are band director, but you have so much more going on with the marching band and the concert band and pep band at the home games we talked about. You'll be heading back to the school tonight. So can you kind of take us through your process as far as, I know the academic year officially starts like usually the last week of August or so. When do you start preparing as far as getting ready for those marching shows and competitions and practices and so forth?
So personally, I start preparing late March. Is usually when I start looking for the music, and usually I pick a show for the marching band before spring break, so before that Easter weekend we're looking. But then with the kids, we start after the 4th of July. That's been kind of my landmark every year. And with the kids, we'll do over the summer Tuesday and Thursday sectionals for a couple weeks. And then when we get into August, we'll do band camp for 2 weeks. We're doing band camp starts that dead week when everybody else is off. Since we're not IHSA, it doesn't affect us. So we get a head start, and then the next week, usually everybody out there, football, soccer, they're out there with us. And then usually the school year starts the next week. So yeah, we get started basically mid-July. In Mass, but your work, as you said, starts back in March or so. So where does the inspiration come from as far as picking a show? Is it like, are there particular songs or a particular theme you think maybe you'd like to do a show under that? Or maybe do you have a particular visual inspiration of, man, it'd be really cool if we could do this in this formation? How do you put it all together? No, I wish I was. Some schools will be that creative. They'll have a whole design team that is thinking about this visual idea that they might have. Generally, I just look at a bunch of different publishers semesters. Okay. And I just kind of listen to some shows, and I think about what are the students that I know I'll have the next year, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, is the melody all up in an instrument that maybe isn't so strong, or is it pretty balanced? And then this year, one thing I did was I couldn't actually pick a show. I narrowed it to 3.
Oh, okay.
And I actually threw it out to the students, and I let them vote on it. And that was how we picked the show this year.
Okay.
That was a first. Usually I'm able to kind of wean everything out. But I really struggled this year.
Okay.
And then so, I take that, and then the drill writing process starts.
Okay. And how does that process work, if you can kind of...
Luckily, I don't have to do it.
Oh, okay.
I am not that visually creative.
Okay.
So I actually have a drill writer, Dennis Marcotte, who's based out of Springfield. Mm-hmm. And whenever I get the music, I send the music. I send my roster numbers. So I've got this many flutes, clarinets, saxophones, so on and so forth. And I kind of give him some guidelines, around this big moment I might want a company front, or I might want them to hold and then flash up to the press box, or I give him some loose ideas that are floating in my head, and then I kind of let him do whatever he will with that. And that usually takes, depending on the time of the year, it might take a couple weeks, it might take a month or so, and then he'll usually send it back to me, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay,
very good. So once again, we're talking with Nigel Range from the Lincoln Community High School not just marching band, the band program, I should say. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments, or maybe there's a student or former student out there that wants to call in and say, hey, feel free. Or you can email questions or comments, 4pm411 at wlcnonline.com. So we've kind of started out in the fall semester, and we're going through putting the drill together and putting the show together, practices, and then how many competitions do you generally march in the fall semester?
Usually we just do 4.
Okay.
And that's looking between early September, like Labor Day-ish, to late October. We'll do 4 competitions, so that's 4 Saturdays. And so we'll usually do 4 competitions, 4 rehearsals, and then maybe a parade here and there. So we stay pretty much, those 2 months, we pretty much are together 6 days a week.
Okay.
It's a great time. Sometimes it's exhausting, but that's just a part of the job. But yeah, that 4 competitions.
Okay. And then once the sort of the fall-ish semester starts to turn to winter, then that's when pep band starts.
Yes.
So how do you go about putting that together?
Well, it's kind of just a mad dash to the end.
Okay.
We finish the marching band late October, and we have to prepare for 2 things. The Eaton tournament that Lincoln hosts every year, the week of Thanksgiving, and then we usually do our Christmas concert with the choir around December 10th, 15th, kind of in that area. So we're switching gears completely out of the marching band ensemble setting, and we start drilling pep band music as quickly as we can. And then I also start planning and plotting our concert music, and then we kind of just have to bounce between one ensemble one day to the next ensemble the next day, and kind of just do this back and forth until we run out of time. So it just goes that fall semester.
Like I often say, if it's not one thing, it's 20. So
yeah, exactly.
It sounds like you're the epitome of that. So once again, our guest is Nigel Range from Lincoln Community High School, the band program. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. And once again, if you'd like to call in with questions or comments, 217-648-5510, the number to call. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Nigel Range. We're back on the 4 p.m. 411 with Nigel Range from Lincoln Community High School. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments. We're talking about Mr. Range and the band program. People often say it takes a village to raise a child. It definitely takes a village to make the band program, all the things happen that need to happen in order for you to get where you need to go, and the equipment and so forth. So you've got some parents out there supporting you, I would assume.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a pretty strong band boosters organization. And they help out with everything from if I need help with band camp, if I need someone to hand out water or anything like that, they go with us to competitions for helping unload the trailer, load the trailer. Someone drives the trailer, helping just keep the kids organized. Sometimes I feel like we're just herding sheep out there. And then everything with marching band, and then even with pep band right now, with all the home basketball games, we take care of the concessions, and that's all just parents volunteering their time, and that's our biggest fundraiser by far. Okay. So without them and their assistance, this band program would not be what it is.
Okay, so shout out to the parents and the Booster Club. So let's talk about, we've still got about 15 minutes left. We talked that you had come from the Springfield area. I'm going to take a wild guess here and say you were involved in music while you were a student.
Absolutely.
What was your instrument of choice?
I'm a saxophone player.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you went, which high school did you attend then?
I went to Chatham.
Okay, Chatham Glenwood. So, and then moved on from there to Western, I believe.
Yep.
Is that correct? And what sorts of activities and things did you do musically there?
Oh boy, a little bit of everything. I was in all of the concert ensembles at some point. Pretty much all of the jazz ensembles at some point, the marching band at some point, some outside things, or not outside, just non-traditional things that I got to experience there were things like the steel band, where they played on steel pans from Trinidad and things like that. I joined a music fraternity, so I got to practice my vocal chops. I'm not a singer, but we had to do some singing for that. I had to take choir at some point, so I got to do that there. Still not my forte, but had the experience. So just lots of different playing, lots of different settings, lots of new experiences for sure.
Okay. And so do you pass any of those, or do you have your students go through any of those kinds of similar activities? Like, do you expose them to the tin music of, I think you said Trinidad or wherever? Do you get into any of that with them, or are you so busy with getting to pep bands and concerts and field shows that you don't have as much time to get into that as you would like?
Well, yeah. So with the band program itself, we don't really get to do any of those things. First and foremost, we just don't have the instruments. The it's not cheap, but we also just, I don't know if we have really the timing, scheduling, and everything to really work that in. I teach a music appreciation class though, and one of the units that we cover is world music, and we spend a little bit of time looking at steel pans and soca music and Trinidad and Tobago and things like that. So if you're in the right place, that music appreciation class, you definitely learn about it, get to hear it, get to watch it, and that's really if anybody's ever wanting to just experience some music they've never heard of, or they'll never listen to on their own, that would be the place to do that for sure. Okay.
Music appreciation, you said. Now, do you teach any other music classes?
Yeah. So I've got the band, music appreciation. I teach a music theory class, which is just kind of the nuts and bolts behind music and how things work, and then also ukulele.
Yeah. Okay. Are you a master ukulelist?
I don't know if I'd say master. I like to think I'm fairly decent.
Okay. Now, is there a lot of transfer there from playing the saxophone to the ukulele?
There is no transfer at all.
So, where did the interest in that come from?
Well, the school already had kind of a defunct guitar class, and I'm not a guitar player.
Okay.
And the school didn't really have guitars for us to use. They kind of had some guitar bodies with no strings, and really it's the same concept, ukulele and guitar. Ukulele has 4 strings where guitar has 6, so in that sense it's a little bit easier. Ukuleles are much more durable and just last a little bit longer, so it's more cost effective for the school. So that was kind of my thought process as I got the course going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is there a ukulele class, then? Do you have like a recital or anything as part of that, or is it all pretty much just in the classroom?
Yeah, just in the classroom, because they just kind of work individually. Some kids go a lot further than other kids, but we have had some kids who played or played and sung on the talent show.
Oh, okay.
So, and some kids will come into the class already knowing how. They just really want that ability to really focus on it. It's an hour a day to just sit and play ukulele. It works.
Yeah, there are definitely worse ways to spend an hour each day, I would think. So once again, we're talking with Nigel Range from the LCHS band program. 217-648-5510, the number to call. I asked you about the support of the band boosters and the band parents. So suppose there was a donor out there who just decided, you know what, I was in music in school, I really want to support this program, and they gave you a blank check for $1 million. Oh
boy.
What would there be something you would want to really beef up or build up, or something new you would want to add to the program? How would there be something you could? I mean, I'm sure you could find a use for it somewhere, but is there something you think you'd really, I want to do this, but I haven't been able to so far, or it'd be nice if we could add this, anything like that?
I mean, I could buy the instrument inventory at the school is mostly old.
Okay.
Since in my time there, I've been slowly buying things as I see fit. So definitely that, just replacing a lot of older instruments, getting some maybe higher quality, more advanced level, more professional line instead of intermediate line models of instruments. Okay. Same thing with the music library. A lot of the music in there was published by publishers that don't exist anymore. A lot of the music is from the 60s or the 70s, which there's nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot more new music, newer composers, newer arrangers, just new music that's been released that has been arranged for the band. So revamping all of that too. Yeah, man, that's hard. There's so many things that I could spend that money on, for sure.
And just to kind of give us a frame of reference, instruments are not cheap. I know that, but for a ballpark, if you wanted to replace, gosh, I don't know, a saxophone or and what kind of price ranges are you looking at with these instruments? For, let's say, an alto saxophone, if you wanted to get a professional model, you're looking at $6,000 to $8,000. Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, you could probably get a intermediate model for $4,000 to $6,000. So and it's really just the quality of metal, maybe some extra bells and whistles, extra. This helps your finger do the little minor details. Right. But it can make a difference for that student who's really close to excelling, and they might have a student model that's holding them back. But yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah, not cheap.
Really expensive.
So if anyone is interested in supporting the band program, be sure to contact Mr. Range at the high school. We're going to go ahead and take our second break now, and we'll be back with Nigel Range and talk more about the Lincoln Community High School band program right after this.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart, and so they need you to stand with them.
We are back on the 4 p.m. 411 with Lincoln Community High School Band Director Nigel Range. Once again, if you have questions or comments, we've got a few minutes left in the show, 217-648-5510. I kind of put you on the spot there with that $1 million question, which I warned you I was going to do that, but that actually wasn't the question I was going to do it with. So suppose I grabbed your, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, grabbed your iPhone and went to your playlist there. What music would I find on Mr. Range's playlist?
A little bit of everything under the sun. Oh, man. The big thing that I listen to in recent times has been like Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Last year I was on a huge Scary Pockets kick. It's a group that does like funk remixes of anything.
Really?
Yeah. Found them on YouTube one day and really fell in love with them.
Huh.
Then the earlier today in ukulele class, I was playing some Darius Rucker, singing along the wagon wheel, and then switched over to some System of a Down, get some rock music. So I'm really all over the place.
Okay.
I tell people that a lot, and they're like, "No, you're not." And then they listen to a playlist, and this doesn't make any sense. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
All right. So with your music background, then let me ask you this: the Mount Rushmore of music. Who would be your top 4 musical artists or bands or performers? Who would be, like I said, your Mount Rushmore 4?
Okay, that's a very difficult question.
Told you I was going to put you on the spot.
You did. You warned me. I definitely say Childish Gambino.
Okay.
He has been one of my top artists for the last couple of years. As a saxophone player, yeah, it'd be between Charlie Parker and Kenny Garrett.
Okay.
Let's see if I can bounce to another genre. Rock music. Oh dear. I don't know. I hate favorites. System of a Down, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Okay.
Things like that. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That's all right. You got 3 out of 4, so that's 75%, so that's passing. So once again, we're talking with Nigel Range from the Lincoln Community High School Band Program. He is the band director there, and he will actually be directing this evening. If you want to go see him in action, head out to Roy S. Anderson Gymnasium when the Railers will be playing the Bloomington Purple Raiders at 7 p.m. So what is involved in because you've got, with the pep band there, you've got a whole bunch of stuff you have to cart in and out, as well as herd the kids into the right place, and that seems like it's a bit of a process.
Yeah, it is, but we do it so many times. We kind of get into a rhythm with it. For instance, today in class we reviewed pep band stuff because we haven't been playing it for a while, and then at the end of class we go out and set up the platform. So if you're ever at a game and you look up, you'll see the drum sets on a platform. The kids set that up themselves. After the game we'll have to take it down, and we just store it in a closet there, and then we have binders with all of the music in it. The binders have, at this point, 73 different songs.
Oh, okay.
We only play a good 20 to 30 of them, just because realistically we don't have time to learn 70 different songs.
Sure.
That's one of my goals for the future. That needs to happen sooner than later, but to revamp that binder, get rid of a lot of useless stuff that we never play. But yeah, and I mean, once we go out there, we have a call list, and I'll just call out a number, and everybody flips to that number, and we just off and go.
Okay, very good. So isn't that how that phrase came to be about we're going to do a certain number? Wasn't it cruise ship orchestras? They numbered their...
Oh, yeah. A lot of like those cruise ships, or maybe like a bar lounge or something like that. They'll have these mega books, and everything's just numbers, and be like, all right, 24, 270, just jumping around the book to whatever number gets called out. Yeah.
All right. So as we're sitting here thinking, or seeing we've got a couple minutes left, I thought of one more question to put you on the spot. It's my big music test question that I ask all people in music. Okay. How is music like an icy sidewalk on a dark night?
Oh, well, I mean, anything can happen. It's live music, anything can happen, no matter how much practice you've done, no matter how perfect you've gotten it, anything can happen. You can lose your focus, you can have a brain fart and just mess something up, and then sometimes you might recover quickly, sometimes you might fall on your butt. You really never know. So quite literally, like an ice, you might sit there and skate around looking like a silly animal or something, and then recover, or you might actually go down. So yeah, live music for you.
All right. That is not the answer I was looking for, but that is the most eloquent answer I've ever gotten. No, very simply, how is music like an icy sidewalk on a dark night? If you don't C sharp, you'll B flat.
Oh, it was a pun. Oh, no.
Once again, our guest has been Nigel Range from the LCHS band program. And as I mentioned, you can go out tonight and see him and the pep band perform at the Railer game against Bloomington High School. That game tips off at 7 p.m. Tomorrow morning on Viewpoint with Bill Gossett, we'll have Reverend Henry Johnson, and next week on the 4 p.m. 411, Abby Behrens with the Butterfly Project. So, Mr. Range, thanks for taking your time and joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.
Wasn't too painful.
No, not at all.
Okay, very good. I'll still hit you up for that fourth person on the Mount Rushmore sometimes. So.
I'll try to figure it out.
All right, very good. So once again, I'm Loyd Kirby, Marketing Manager at WLCN. This has been the 4 p.m. 411. Thanks for listening. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.